The speaker today is Genita Mason, and I didn't know that I was going to be introducing her until a few minutes ago. And when I started reading about her, I thought, oh my gosh, this is a divine appointment for me, Michelle Anderson, personally, because I know so many people that have biotoxin illness, and I never knew it had a name. So for the people that are here today, you must have read about what Genita is going to be talking about today, the proven biotoxin cure. And as she says in her bio, that it's an epidemic today with over 90% of people, including children, are suffering from various degrees of heavy metals, chemical exposure, mold, fungus, yeast, parasitic and bacterial gut infections. And this contributes to a wide range of metabolic disorders and diseases and poor mental health. And she is on the cutting edge of helping us get through that. I don't want to take any more of your time. I just want to tell you that she is a rock star in her field. When I read her bio, she is amazing. She's an award-winning, it looks like she's award-winning and published. You're an author?
Yes.
She is the founder and medical director of the Biosanctuary. And I can tell just based on her energy that she's an amazing human being, and I am honored to introduce Genita Mason. Let's give her a warm round of applause.
Can I give you a hug before I get off stage? Because man, you're a rock star. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wow. Well, you got me in the mood. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you. There's cheat sheets, and everybody get a little. This is what I'm going to be going on. Okay. So, wow. And to follow Dr. Young, isn't he amazing? I don't know if you were here for him, but he's amazing. I was studying his stuff. I used to do live blood cell analysis.
Use the mic,
sorry.
because we're recording you.
Oh, okay. Well, I've always been told to put the mic down. I have a loud voice, but okay.
Because we want people to purchase the DVD to share with their friends and family.
Excellent.
I forgot to say that.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, so yes, what Michelle said is correct. I'm bringing you this information from experience. I am an independent scientist. I was weeks away from my master's in biochemistry when Dr. Abram Hoffer picked me up, and because he thought I had what it took to carry the torch of biological medicine, basically. I don't know if you know who Dr. Abram Hoffer was, but he was famous for, he was actually a psychiatrist, MD, and famous for getting people off psychiatric drugs and and actually was an orthomolecular biochemist and practitioner, and naturally got them off and rebalanced off psychiatric drugs, and that's where I started. And so anyway, to fast forward, I was doing live blood cell analysis for many years at my clinics in Costa Rica and Mexico, and actually learning from Dr. Young's work. So I go way back with Dr. Young as well. Not personally, I did not do anything personally with him. I worked from his books and my microscope. So, to fast forward again today, as far as biotoxicity goes, it's amazing. Occasionally I'll brush off, my microscope and pull it out. Especially during COVID, I get a lot of that. To really understand what was going on underneath the microscope, and you guys if you were here, you just got a good hour and a half from Dr. Young what's going on. So I don't need to reiterate that, but I have to say I have my own experiences as a clinician. He does live blood cell analysis, whereas I bring people in with all kinds of diseases, and through what we do there, and that's hitting every disease from the same angles, just getting the bad stuff out and getting the good stuff in, right? Now that makes it sound very simple, and it is very simple, and then what you do when you go home is you keep the bad stuff out and you'll progress from there. Science these days seems to make the very simple thing, it complicates the very simple things, and it's not that hard, let me go by the cheat sheet. I'm so used to lecturing once a month on this at my clinic, that I kind of like get to jump all around because I have 3-4 hours and I only have an hour and a half here, so I gotta go by this. Okay, I'm sure you'll be glad that I am as well. So, what is biotoxin illness? All right, biotoxin illness is a bioaccumulation to the point of symptoms, metabolic disorders, and diseases of everything that we have polluted and destroyed this planet with. Okay. This is where we have to take responsibility. We are suffering from what we're doing to the planet, and every living being out there is suffering with us, okay? So, but everyone, when I say everyone has biotoxin illness, I mean it, and I know it for a fact, because I test people who come in, just like Dr. Young said, everybody out there has graphene hydroxide, has it in their chip, right? Guess what? I'm not. And I'll tell you why, and I'll tell you how I keep them out, okay? So we're going to cover that as well. One day, and please look into that product. I'm going to, that he was talking about, the Masterpiece. But you see, the thing is one day, just like they threw him in jail, one day you may not have access to products, okay? And I'm not a big product person to begin with because I like living with the divine in harmony and responsibility with the divine design, okay? I take care of my temple. I take care of it spiritually, biologically, energetically. I take care of it, okay? And that's what I teach. I'm not a big product person at all. My products are God in nature. That's my team. And you can define God any way you want, spirituality, energy, whatever you want, but that's what it's about here, and harmonizing and living aligned with that divine design will provide you a happy life no matter how biotoxic you are. So anyway, so there is a bioaccumulation of all of it. And let me answer with this about biotoxicity. I get this question all the time because a lot of my patients that come in these days, mold infections are an epidemic today, right? And it's funny that that's a problem today when we have settlers that came over 400 years ago and they were dying left and right and encumbered and suffering chronic fatigue, inflammation, joint pain, all these things, gut issues from mold infections. And they were living in cabins with mold all over the place, right? But why are we getting it? Why has every other person got some degree of mold infection? And I'll tell you why. It's your immune system. Our immune systems today, because of the biotoxin illness, the bioaccumulated conglomerate of all the biotoxicities that we suffer, and the chemical exposures, the radiation, all the things that Dr. Young was talking about, all of that applies. But we get into, the lead and mercury and chocolate and your eyeliner, and it's everywhere. And because it's invisible, and it's not a big, hairy, fire-breathing dragon chasing you around the room, you got other things to do today than, deal with the invisible stuff, right? So everybody's they're not focused on, they don't consider it a threat. And I'll tell you something, it seems to me that humans are just gradually adapting to these symptoms and thinking it's part of life. And it's not. Please, please, please make the bar higher for yourself. I'm 60, I'll be 64 in a month, and I mountain bike about 10 miles a day, 8 to 10 miles a day in Texas. I hit the trails, I do my weights, and I have no resistance in my body whatsoever. And by the way, every single woman on my matrilineal side, including my cousins that are my age, have debilitating arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis by the time they're 40. Surgeries and everything. I'm the only one that does it. I don't even have a pain in my pinky. So again, like Dr. Young said, it is epigenetic. It is your influences, your mind, your thoughts, your heart, your emotions, what you eat, what you take, and what you think medicine is, okay? Because people are always relying on something that's outside of them, that's the medicine, and really you are the medicine. You are the medicine. Take care of yourself. Have that attitude to take care of yourself. Take care of your temple. It's a temple, okay? So anyway, so biotoxin illness, everybody's got what it is, right? It's just a bioaccumulation of all the toxins, invisible, that are in the environment today that we're eating, breathing, being sprayed on, all of it, right? And it's serious because, when you drive it down from pesticides and nanotechnology to the mold and fungus and yeast, and look it up on the internet on grain, because grain is so hybridized, okay? it's lost its immune system, so it has mold and fungus on it when it's harvested, and I mean organic grain, all grain today. It's been hybridized. It's not heirloom anymore. It doesn't have its own immune system anymore. It can't take care of itself. So it grows mold and fungus, and then it's harvested and put in dark warehouses, and by the time you get anybody that's trying to get rid of a mold or fungus infection in their gut that eats any grain whatsoever, not just gluten-free, will never accomplish the goal of getting rid of it. All right, ever. There's 3 things that you have to get rid of out of your diet: dairy, grain, and sugar. All of it. And by the way, I was a vegetarian for 29 years until my daughter became a world-class organic chef, and now occasionally I'll eat meat. But when I came to the conclusion, the fact that grain was no good for me anymore, I was a vegetarian. Everything was a wrap, a sandwich, so, you just have to think, what is it worth? Is it really worth getting arthritis, inflammation, chronic fatigue, brain inflammation? When you have a gut issue, it's true. When you have a gut, like the Chinese say, Chinese medicine, gut on fire, brain on fire, your brain has its own immune system. So when your gut is producing all these endotoxins and suffering from the exotoxins, it goes straight to the brain via the vagus nerve. Your brain gets inflamed, and why do you think? In fact, Dr. Joseph Barsuglia, I was just reading an article from him. He's a buddy of mine. Neurodegenerative disease is a tsunami today, and it's getting worse because of the long COVID issues, right? All of that inflammation, the blood's coagulating, can't get the oxygen and nutrients in, and can't get the waste out. So you want to keep your gut clean, and the way to do that, just immediately, no dairy, no grain, no sugar. In fact, if you did that for 10 days, you would feel like you healed yourself. You would literally feel like, I've had patients that they put their deposit down before they come into the clinic, and I'll prep them and I'll say, stop this. I've had people with MS, with cancer, chronic fatigue, all of it, and they stop the dairy, grain, and sugar, and they get out of pain so quickly. It's like, it's a good thing I got their deposit, because they're like, I think I'm okay, So anyway, I always tell people, we're cultured. In our culture, when we get sick, anything, it's like, what do I put in my mouth? What do I buy? What do I go get at the store? How do I fix this, right? It's getting well today is not about thinking about what product to go get, what should I put in my mouth. It's about what you need to take out of your mouth, okay? That's the first step, okay? Because if you're sick, you've done it to yourself. It's got to be diet. It's not even the nanotech yet, if you got COVID and you got a shot, then it's going to be that, but okay. You know what I mean. It's okay. So you've done it to yourself, so you got to do a little checklist, which I'll give you the checklist. You got to take it all out and see how you feel. The body is a beautiful diagnostic machine. You start doing the right thing, and after a couple of days, because the detox, phase can hurt a little bit, but after a couple of days, you start feeling better. You're doing the right thing. I'm a country girl. I am a scientist, and I can say all the big words, and I can use those, but it's not how I understand things, and it's not how I stay healthy. I stay healthy by what makes me feel good. My quality of life means more to me than anything. How many times I get to hug that awesome grandkid of mine? That's what matters to me. And enjoying myself every day. Who wants to live life on from the couch? I didn't come here to be a viewer, the audience. I came here to be on stage. So anyway, is everybody clear on what biotoxin illness is? And I'll move forward. So another key thing about these biotoxins is that they are obesogens. They are endocrine disruptors. All these people. The way I was trained in medicine was that you go and being a biochemist and working with Dr. Alec Derry, all these doctors, Dr. Abram Hoffer, all these doctors that got their education before Big Pharma, they were biochemists. They knew how to use the body's, energies and chemistries to get well, right? Before drugs, that's what we did, okay? So when there's, and in fact, again, I'm going to keep referring to Dr. Young because I just got done listening to him, when you put something in the body that doesn't belong there, it's going to create a different frequency. Okay, does everybody agree that we have our own IP address when we come in? Your own spirit, your spirit. I'm a spiritualist and a scientist. Okay, does everybody agree you have your own spirit IP address, meaning frequency?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Hold that frequency. You'll never have to take another product, including Masterpiece, because it trumps everything, okay? It crushes it. No, it does. You know, that's what shamans do when something comes in that doesn't, you know, when they're healing others or healing themselves, they literally bring the energy in and crush it with theirs because their IP address is as clean as the day that they came in. If they're a true shaman, true shamans and spiritualist people that high, you know, which you have the perfect ability to be as well. So anyway, any time that you put a toxin, anything in your body, too much food, we all eat too much. We all eat too much, okay? Every one of us, including me. That's why I've gotten in the habit of water fasting 5 days a week. So, but these toxins, they change the frequency of your biological terrain. And that's where we get into what Dr. Young was talking about. It changes how the cells express themselves, and they will express themselves differently, you know, because they're in a different frequency now. They're not, you know, with the divine frequencies, a harmonic of the divine code, okay? The God in nature, the unadulterated divine code. So they will become other things outside of the natural flow of light, of health, all right? And so when I was working with and learning, I wasn't working with, I was learning, okay? I was mentored. When I was working with these brilliant doctors, they all said separately, they talked about baseline biochemistry. And it really sits on calcium phosphorus and then goes from there. So what I do is, and I'm going to teach you how to do this without microscopes and labs and all that. So what we do is we just go for baseline biochemistry. And you know how we get there? We take all the bad stuff out and put only the good stuff in, okay? And that's hard today, I know, but I'm going to give you some tips, all right? I'm going to share some really phenomenal things that I'm working on with the clinic. Ancient gut, ancient consciousness, with heirloom foods only, to really create the microbiota of a gut that can raise frequency to the brain, all right? There's a reason why people were, you know, writing Vedas and Bibles and Tanakhs and all that, you know, 2,000 years ago. I mean, I think that interdimensional consciousness was everyday life back then. Everything was so clean. It was easy to jump back and forth and be interdimensional, you know? And so, but anyway, getting back, a lot going on in here. So anyway, so when you put things in your body that don't belong in there, you know, people call a lot of things food that are not food. They call it, you know, I mean, seriously, that it's not food. Food should be qualified as what gives you energy. And if you want to, you know, in fact, on my website, the Biosanctuary, because people are always asking me, what's the perfect diet? I'm like, well, you are what you eat, right? So mine is pictorial. And there is an article about the bright and shiny diet. So you do, you know, if I were to write a diet book, I would simply take Curlian photography. Is it Curlian or Curlian? Photography, whatever. But, you know, it takes pictures of the auras. And I would start with the highest aura, right? The highest bloom, right? Start with those foods like produce and vegetables, but even of the produce, which, by the way, matches the auric value, oxidative reductive stress, right? It matches, the auras of foods actually match that. So, and that's where you would start because you are what you eat. So if you eat high energy food, then you're gonna have a high energy. If you eat low energy food, it will actually, there's a tipping point where it actually it takes more from your body to digest and utilize it than it does feed your body energy, okay? Anyway, back to baseline biochemistry. So when you when you clean up, when you really clean up, and that means your thoughts, everything, you know, your thoughts, your emotions, everything that creates a frequency inside your body, and of course, you know, food and the water that you drink. When you clean up, your body will naturally come into baseline biochemistry, okay? We have a divine design. We have a ground zero. We've been around for millions of years despite our arrogance and ignorance to think that we can improve on God and nature. We're still walking and talking and breathing. So we have a baseline biochemistry. We have a ground zero. You do the right thing, the body goes back to ground zero, and then everything is downstream from that, including hormones. People want to test for this, for that, and I tell them, you know what, we don't have to do that. Let me do my work first. I'll save you some money, and then if there's anything left, or you have concerns, then we'll test. We'll run some labs. But even if I had a lab come back saying, your hormones are off a little bit, I'm like, okay, we got to dive you into baseline biochemistry deeper. There's something going on. There's something in there that's not supposed to be in there, right? So anyway, that's how simple it is. But with today's options, even organic food doesn't give us what we need. We need more nutrients than today to metabolize all the toxins and everything, the involuntary ones, the air we breathe, the chemtrails, all the nanotech. We need more nutrition, and even organic food, it does not even come close to what food, the nutritional value of food 200 years ago, right? So nor the bacterial profile, because it's not heirloom, it's been hybridized. Every time you hybridize something, it narrows the bacterial profile. So when you narrow the bacterial profile, then you narrow the microbiota, and then that's your immune system goes away, right? So lowers your immune response. So, and by the way, my immune response, I never got COVID, and I have a clinic, and people were coming in for their COVID. I never wore masks, and I live in Texas. Nobody ever told me to put one on either. What was I going to say? Oh, my immune system. I haven't seen a doctor since I was 17 years old. My dad carried me, and I had 104 temperature, strep throat. I got a shot of penicillin, and a bottle of pills, more penicillin to take. I was out that night in San Francisco with my boyfriend at a concert. Never took the rest of the pills. And that was the last time I took any antibiotic or anything. And that was back before it was, penicillin's pretty benign compared to what people are doing these days. So my immune system's so strong, I think I might have gotten COVID for about 4 hours, because what happens with me is my temperature will go up to 103. I'll feel that pain, that everything. I think this is the old, immune system. You feel the pain, the aches, the pains, you're shaking and you're hurting, and then in 4 hours it's over. I have it's not fun, but believe me, it's a hell of a lot better than getting whatever it came in, I'm sure. And I don't because I just get that response once every 2 or 3 years, and I'm okay. But I'm sure that's probably because I have never taken an antibiotic. But except for when I was 17. But don't despair, because you can get there as well, okay? I have nothing, there's so many bad things in the world I could focus on and go, oh, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. We all know it's out there, right? Okay, I don't have to do that. I just want to be more solution-oriented and more positive, and let everybody know it's doable. Look at me, it's reverence, reverence. Wake up every morning and go, this is a temple. How am I going to take care of it the best I can today? This is my vehicle, how I'm going to get through life, how I'm going to function, how I'm going to enjoy my life, or not, right? So, there's no piece of pie out there that's worth the loss of quality of life to me, just not. So anyway, so when you eat incorrectly, and by the way, pesticides, one of the biotoxins, the bacterial dysbiosis, lipopolysaccharides, right? The harmful bacteria, the it literally creates that alone, that bacterial dysbiosis alone creates over 1,800 endotoxins in your body, in your gut. And endotoxins being created from within, right? Inside you, all right? Added to the hundreds that you're exposed, thousands probably you're exposed to daily, right? Can you imagine what's really going on? The landfill, okay? People are not taking care of their walking landfills, and I've done the live blood cell analysis to see it, although I can see it in their eyes, I can see it in their energy patterns and whatnot. But where was I going with the, where was I?
Lipopolysaccharides.
Oh yeah, the lipopolysaccharides. Guess what, folks? I did start my career with getting people off psychiatric drugs, because Dr. Hoffer propped my career in that, right? And drugs. Guess what? They are analog. Many of them are analogs to excitatory neurotransmitters, meaning that they mimic excitatory neurotransmitters, meaning that they go from the gut to the brain all day long via the vagus nerve and the arteries, the 3 arteries that wrap around your colon that suck, everything out. It's meant to suck your short chain fatty acids, but end up sucking toxins out of your colon, all your large intestines all day long. And they cause anxiety, depression, panic, worry, uneasiness, even schizophrenia. That's Dr. Hoffer's work. Okay, we get the lion's share of people today that are suffering schizophrenia are actually a group of people that they're actually canaries in the mine, and the more toxic that the earth gets, the environment gets, the more schizophrenia we're going to have. Because what happens is, under oxidative stress, these canaries in the mine, their adrenals, their adrenaline actually is supposed to turn into noradrenaline, but instead it oxidizes into adrenochrome. Do you guys know what adrenochrome is? Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you're into psilocybin, it's very similar to psilocybin in mushrooms, and you'll see and hear things that are not there in this dimension anyway. Wow. Yeah, and that's a fact. That's been going on, but that's like Dr. Young's work. That's been covered up. My work's covered up. It's just, this stuff has been around for a long time. Dr. Hoffer was practicing in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, So anyways, the lipopolysaccharides, that's 1,800, and many of them going to the brain. And by the way, so again, the brain is inflamed, right? Because when there's something in there it's not supposed to be in there, it sets off the immune system, the cytokines go in, trying to police everything, which inflames the brain. And now what are you setting yourself up for? Neurodegenerative disease, because the brain is slowly dying, the oxidative stress is trapped inside and can't get out, and the good stuff can't get in. So your brain is slowly dying daily. All right, it's so important to take care of yourself these days. And by the way, the best environmentalists are people who take care of themselves, right? It's called fractal environmentalism. It's a chapter I wrote into one of my books. Fractal environment, you take care of one cell in your body, you do the right thing for one cell in your body. By default, you're the best environmentalist for the planet because you're buying organic. You don't have a ton of boxes and cans and landfill stuff in your cupboards, right? Those are the environmentalists. People are taking care of themselves. Start with the mirror, all right? So, like a lot of these environmental. Okay, come on, I'm a country girl. I gotta throw some shit out, okay? All right. A lot of environmentalists I know, they want to save the world, right? And they don't want to feed everybody the idea. They don't even know if their next door neighbor is getting enough to eat. The world is fine. Just take care of yourself, takes care of the world, and we'll make a better place to live for all of us, right? And also, when you're taking care of yourself, in a better mood, you're not all upset and stressed out all the time, griping at people, but getting upset over little things and this and that. That's how you change the world, right? So we have this onslaught of toxicity in the world, and we want to protect ourselves from it. So it's easy. Of course, you have to eat organic. Eat only live food. Only live food. And diet is as personal as religion is to people. I don't go into is it right or wrong. Everything is energy to me. Meat is meat. I think that good people that eat meat and use that animal's energy to do good things for other people, that's an upgrade for the animal. Call me a human elitist, but I was a vegetarian for 3 decades. But it's energy. So let's take the charge off things. But in grass-fed, organic, humanely raised meat for people who enjoy meat, go for it. It's good for you. And
how about raw milk? What do you think about that?
No, what you're supposed to be. Okay, we have to thank you, and please ask as many questions as possible because
good.
Yeah. No, this is the interactive here. No, you're not. What was the question? Because raw milk, there's so many things that go on. But I follow God in nature, and I follow evolution. In fact, I'm getting so deep in ancestral ways. No, you're supposed to be off dairy products when your mom took you off the teat. Okay, because you lose the enzymes, and yes, raw milk comes with some of it, but things are just so dumbed down. I mean, processes and animals now, and animals are hybridized, and given you don't really know either, but. And there is an exception, and there's 3 or 4 cultures that I know of that have been around for thousands of years, Hunza being one of them, fermented with the right cultures. Got to work with the Amish here, not commercial places, because all the bacterias that they use have been morphed and commercialized. But the Amish, to put the USDA organic label on an Amish product, it actually adulterates its image, because the Amish are just literally God, the oldest ways of farming I know, at least in the States. So your fermented things, like from the Amish, because they, get your cultured butter, but so then it comes with the cultures, the bacterial cultures, to digest it right, to utilize your fats, right? But yeah, the kefirs and yogurts with the old way cultures, those are good for you. Definitely, that's one of the 2 that I know of cultures in the world. They eat a lot of cultured dairy, and they're like beyond centenarians on average.
Do you have some of the labels here available to us these days that are complimentable to this?
Pardon me?
Do you know any of the labels that we could buy?
No, you know what? What do you mean by labels?
Brands, sorry.
No, I'm getting texted. I'm a prepper. All of my cans and boxes are they're buried somewhere. But I don't. In my world, I don't really have cans and boxes. That those are processed foods. Like I said, you want to eat live. I think the only thing that I eat that's processed is the simple and not all of them are organic, by the way, but the simple seed crackers, because I don't eat grain. And because come on, you gotta put your targa on something. That's fish. But so I can't. I'm sorry, I can't help you there. I do remember eating. For storing stuff. Like for beans and stuff. I soak my beans. I don't like to eat things that have been sitting in something for a long time. I don't care how safe they say it is. The can is, or the box is, or what. I don't care. I don't like humans getting involved with my diet, to be honest. Like I said, God and nature. I just nature being an unadulterated representation of the divine design.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I hate to take you back, but could you just run that path to adrenochrome again? It was from
Adrenochrome. That was Dr. Abram Hoffer's work. All due respect, and adrenochrome is almost identical. The molecular structure is almost identical to psilocybin, and it's oxidized. It's actually produced by the adrenals when there's too much oxidative stress going on in the body in some individuals who bioaccumulate faster than others. And I mean, come on, we can actually okay, I'm having some fun here, but people are starting to act crazy these days. Crazier and crazier every day. I think a lot of people are oxidizing their adrenaline into adrenochrome these days, right? Everyone seems to be on the spectrum. But anyway,
what
yeah, they're biotoxin for sure. People they're not feeling good these days, so they're not going to be acting their best.
So what you're saying is the adrenaline oxidizes to
adrenaline, epinephrine oxidizes, is supposed to be converted to norepinephrine,
right? That's what.
But when it's not, when there's too much oxidative stress in the system, it oxidizes. The adrenaline, epinephrine will oxidize into adrenochrome. Okay. There's a specific book by Dr. Abram Hoffer. Look that up. Look up adrenochrome, Dr. Abram Hoffer, okay. And there's a book that really goes deep into that. In fact, I used to. in Costa Rica when I have my clinic, you can always you can find out what population a schizophrenic belongs to. If they're the adrenochrome population, you make them mad. And because schizophrenics, they like immediate gratification, so I would do something if someone came in with schizophrenia. I'm a country girl again, so we live dangerously. And I'm in Costa Rica. I can't run labs and get them back in time. I wanted to be able to start treating the patient as well as I can, as quickly as I can. So I do something to make them mad, like not give them something that they want, which brings the adrenaline up, and then when they get symptomatic, I know who I'm dealing with, right? So saved them a bunch of money too. So anyway, and something else I want to point out, that I use the same technologies at my clinic. The oxidative, I have ozone blood dialysis. We do 10 paths. We do the diet. We have a very strict calorie reduction organic diet while they're in treatment for 7 days. We do the IV laser, fiber optic IV laser, IVs. We do the colonics. We do. It's just you'll see. If you look at the website, there's a long list of intensive treatments that people go in, for 7 days, every we have with that same treatment model package for 7 days. Neurodegenerative, I'll keep people for 10 days. To give them more NAD IVs, brain restorative, get their neurological systems back. And we have, there's online interview of a man named Mel that he came in not walking, and he was walking in 10 days for Parkinson's.
Nice.
But it's the same, get this, it's the same treatment package that people get, and we've cured cancer, we've cured neurodegenerative. And all I'm bringing this up for is to emphasize that it is the biotoxicity that's causing these diseases, okay? It is the biotoxicity. Now, what you get, your genes can create shortcuts. I'm an epigeneticist. I entirely agree with Dr. Young and all other epigeneticists. But it's the biotoxicity, because all we do is get the bad stuff out and put the good stuff in the most ancient way possible, by the way. I don't use anything in Whole Foods. Again, Whole Food, there's so much nanotech and supplements these days. And by the way, I am this healthy, and I take minerals. I take ancient minerals, and I'll teach you how to reconstitute your water properly. It costs you about $1 a month. To get it back to what we know ancient river water was. There's not a water on a shelf that is good for you today, not one.
Wow.
So,
Structuring the water after distilling it, probably, yes?
pardon me?
You distill it and then structure it?
You don't even have to go as far as that. But, okay, let me talk about the water. I know you guys, I don't mind jumping around. There's so much information to share, and that's why I like going with the questions, because I want to feed you what you want to know,
So important.
and because I can always get in what I want to. I think I'm the last speaker. We could be here all night if we want. So, water. All right. So there's not a water on the shelf that's good for you. All right. And it's by the way, it's been adulterated. They're putting all kinds of stuff in that too. Fluoride. So, and by the way, there's a thing called GRAS. They don't have to put fluoride on the labels of things, or a lot of things that they put in there, because it's considered generally regarded as safe, recognized as safe, right? So, and it's a nefarious little act, little process that they go through with Congress to get something listed as GRAS, and we all know who's in charge of, the dark team is in, charge of all the, suppression of the human race. So, it's the GRAS system is a product of that. And so all the things that they put in water, spring water, and even if they didn't put anything in it, I wouldn't drink it, because spring water, you can hear the word spring and it means something to you, like, there's some crystal clear spring somewhere that they're bottling this water.
Yeah.
But there isn't. You know why? Because there's chemtrails, there's agricultural runoff, there's psych drugs going into the toilet, going into the wells, there's fracking, there's all this stuff that's getting into the water everywhere. And water is the common denominator, right, of the whole entire planet, okay? So you can't avoid a plethora of toxins in water, and even spring water. So here's what I do. And I have so many patients that, but I'm on a well. It's groundwater, it's like concentrated stuff going in there of bioaccumulated soil toxins. So here's what you do. I personally, and by the way, Mike Adams of Natural News, he's got a video out. I have Lab Envy. He's got a full spectromographer, $1 million piece of equipment where he can put anything in that thing and it spits out every molecule and how many of them it's in there, Yeah. So anyway, there's a video out there. Look it up. He tested all of the water filters out there. And I've been using Berkey. I've been using Berkey for probably 15 years because I know them politically. When a company is politically on my team, I know that their heart and their politics and everything are in the right place. So before I saw this video on Mike, I've been using Berkey. But Berkey and Zero were the two that, Berkey is just sexier, it's stainless steel. Zero is plastic. And by the way, BPA is another thing that no plastics. The chemical that they use instead of BPA is actually worse than BPA. BPA got a bad rap, so they put something else in there. That's even worse, of course. So anyway, you want to filter your water, and then this is so easy, and I wish I had it because I love doing this at the clinic once a month. You take a big, it's called symphony rock crystals is another thing. See, I didn't know, it's just everything is so messed up. So I didn't know that they use explosives to chip off the Himalayan rocks in the Himalayas, right? The only company I found that doesn't do that, once I learned that that's what they do, because I don't want explosives in my salt, is Symphony. So Symphony, in fact, if you guys give me your email address, I'll send you the treatment packet that has the links to all the things that I'm talking about today.
Yeah, let's do that.
So Symphony good?
Yeah, so Symphony, they don't use the hand shipped, fair trade and all that. And so you take a big Himalaya rock. Now remember, the Himalayas, they dried up 250 million years ago. So they are free of man's ignorance and audacity with the planet. There's no toxins in there, right? And call your spacesuit what you want. I mean, call your source what you want, God what you want. Our bodies came out of the ocean. And science, we know that ancient seawater, the electrical conduit, the difference of potential, the electrolytes, positive and negative, that seawater is identical to what blood's supposed to be, right? So what you do is you make brine. So you let it you let that rock soak in some water, Berkey water or distilled, but you can just buy distilled water, but you want to test it and make sure it's 0. And to be honest with you, I don't even trust that. That's why I do my Berkey, because I'm sure that they figured out how to magnetize toxins, so that they don't show up on a TDS meter. There's no charge, but they're messing with you. Or distill it yourself. It's a lot of work, but I just use the Berkey. And when I travel, I do use distilled water. It's the only time from stores. And then I reconstitute it. So the formula for the reconstitution to get it to what ancient river water was, it was 1500 TDS, generally speaking. Okay, so the clouds, rainwater is 0, by the way. Rainwater is 0. I tested, I collected some water, I'm like, wow, it's 0, but that makes sense because it's distillation of the ocean, right? So you get this distilled water from the atmosphere that falls on the mountains, and then as it runs down, it picks up all of its minerals, right? So generally speaking, the minerals were 1500 TDS, so that's going to be perfect.
What does that mean, TDS?
Total dissolved solids. And by the way, I have more. It doesn't say much, but I have more energy and consistent energy than 17-year-olds today. Okay, I wake up this way. I pop awake and I go to sleep, energized, but I fall right to sleep. Right? It's minerals. Dr. Linus Pauling said 50, 60, 70 years ago that you could trace all all disease is back to a mineral deficiency, and that's true. And I'm going to tell you the spiritual view of that. And this is my bar for medicine as well. Where there is no light, there is decomposition. Okay. So, and what I mean by decomposition, where there's no light traveling through your body, what stops light? Minerals are the conduits. They're the wires in between the difference of potential. There's positive and negative minerals in your body, and those are the conduits that allow light to travel. That's your wires in between different areas of the cell and how the light is supposed to travel through your body.
Like transmitters.
Pardon me?
Transmitters.
Yes, yeah. Light is supposed to, we are spiritual beings, and that is energy, that is light, that's your IP address, and that light is supposed to be flowing through your body unobstructed. That's the measure of health, by the way, the level by which it's flowing unobstructed. Any obstruction of light, that's where disease is going to start. In fact, a client of mine brought his father in who had a soft tissue sarcoma on his shoulder here, and come to find out he was a boxer and owned a gym, but and a healthy guy, this and that, but he'd always had some pain here because of a car accident 17 years ago. He'd always had inflammation there. That's how, where there's no light, where light is obstructed, that's where things get to start decomposing. So anyway, the Himalayas, that brine being, the perfect balance of electrolytes for you, you're going to have energy. I mean, seriously, it's a no-brainer for me because the minerals are perfectly aligned, they're conduits. And when you put the rock in, I love nature. So it dissolves to the point of reconstituting back to where it was when it dried up. So it is perfectly balanced at that
How
point.
much of this symphony, because I've used Redmond sea salt and I put that in my...
Redmond is a good product, but it's a current product. I think they're out of Utah, Salt Lakes.
How about
Yeah.
Celtic salt?
Pardon me?
Celtic salt.
No. You know what? I do this. No, you don't want an ocean. You don't want any salt product from an ocean today because the oceans are sick. So there are minerals and no hydrogen in the ocean. I mean, very little. Hydrogen is the electron donor of the universe, okay? Hydrogen's been around since the beginning, okay? Hydrogen is the electrons. It is the energy. When the mitochondria, when your cells make energy, ATP, everybody you're taught, it is another big lie, you're taught oxygen, glucose. Oxygen, hydrogen, glucose. Hydrogen is the electron donor, all right? So like when you do your pH, the higher the pH, the more electrons, the more hydrogen, okay? The lower the pH, the more acidic, the less hydrogen, all right? So produce doesn't have the hydrogen trapped in it it's supposed to have anymore because it's been donating its electrons to the plant to keep it alive and as it's working its immune system to help the plant stay alive in a toxic environment, even organic. Organic food, it's better than conventional, but I'm just saying, okay? They use 3 minerals to fertilize the soil in between crops. Come on. We're supposed to have 118. That's why you have to use the right water and reconstitute your water and drink it, all day long like that. So, that's, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Just 2 questions. The grains, does that include brown rice, millet, and quinoa as well?
Quinoa is a seed, but it's a starchy. It's 67% of it is starch. So, before I stop today, I will get into, a quick little thing you can do for yourself to be feeling as good as I'm feeling in about 30 days. It's amazing. I see people have been drinking their life away for 30 years, and they leave my clinic ready to, take on the world.
Wow.
God is kind. All of them. Your God, my God, it's all God. But, seriously, we have a ground zero, and you do the right thing, and it happens, you get it back fast.
Now, how about the sugars in fruit, raw fruit?
Oh, raw food. Do you think that, God and nature made such pretty colors coming off of trees because it didn't want us to eat it? Of course, that's the good stuff, Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, that's, it's, you know what it is? People eat too much. You know, they eat, their diets are imbalanced. You know, fruit's great for you. Anything that comes out of the ground, a good soil ground.
Yeah.
That wasn't even my next question, because this is really huge. This is really big. This is the most important things, right? The water, the soil, soil.
Yeah.
I mean, this is everything. Because I mean, the fruits aren't gonna have they don't have what we need anymore because of the soil.
Right.
So what do we do about that?
So
solve this.
yeah, you just pull a rabbit out of your hat. That's what. No, you know, here's okay. Here's what you do. You have to eat heirloom when you can. You have to know your farmer. Dr. Young said it before. You really do. You know, it's important. See, I live in Texas, and we have what we call traditional farms, and you know, we look each other in the eye at the farmer's market, and it's organic. You know, and you can see with your eyes too. Organic food doesn't all look the same. You know. That's the only thing that's, I think, organic in the produce department of Whole Foods is the label, to be honest with you. No, I'm serious. You know, who's going to check on him? You know, he's part of that team. So who's going to check on him? Why do you think they're taking over the food, the food distribution systems? So I don't shop at Whole Foods. You know, I shop at farmers markets, and I know my farmers. I shop with the Amish in Pennsylvania and such. Yeah.
Number one, Whole Foods should be called 365.
Pardon me?
Number one, Whole Foods should be called 365.
Yeah, right.
Okay? Now, I know we're all excited and you're amazing, and thank you so much for giving all of your knowledge to us. I want to get back to the concentration of the crystal with the water, because that's basic number one to me important.
The concentration
Yes,
of the.
please. How much rock do we put into the water?
Okay, that's why you want to use the big rocks, the symphony cells. Okay, and the link is in. Like I said, give me your email address, and I'll send you all these links. But yeah, you use a big rock, and you put the water in. All right, like 16 ounces, and you can use a mason jar and get plastic caps online, to use instead of steel because they're gonna rust. And it will, that God in nature takes care of that formula for you, because it's the rock will stop melting when everything is reconstituted right back to its original composition.
Right.
So I love that. When I hold it, I'm like, I'm holding 250 million years of seawater, And in my professional athletes, by the way, I have a few that make millions of dollars in the ring. And I'm telling you, they know what gives them more energy, what works for them, because they are testing their body the same way all day long when they're in training camp. From the time they start my water, they never stop. And a lot of my clients, because minerals are the conduit. Without minerals in the body, you have no energy. In fact, a lot of doctors say that people don't get to experience it because they go, I got to go drink more water, but they go drink dead water, right?
Yeah.
But doctors have been saying a long time that, that fatigue is a product of dehydration. And yes, it is. But people just start drinking more dead water, which floats around the plasma. You need a difference of potential, positive and negative, a very specific difference of potential in your electrolyte, composition that comes from brine or Himalayan sea salt, to open up the ion gates on the cells to get the water into the cells. If you don't have that difference of potential, you're drinking dead water, the water doesn't get in there. You're not hydrating, you're bloating, until your kidneys release it. You're bloating. You're not hydrating, you're bloating. And water is fundamental. You think about it, first it's air. We can last about 5 minutes without that. Then it's water. People die all the time fasting on distilled water. So that tells you right there. You can't go more than, I think it's a week or two without water. And most 99.999% of people are walking around tired because they don't have the right electrolyte balance minerals in their bodies from the water that they drink. So, and to be honest, I don't think all this, drink 8 to 10 glasses a day. I don't count what I drink. So like, God, thank you. Seriously, I drink, but I don't think when you're drinking the right water, it's about the minerals, not the volume of water, right? So I think your body tells you, okay, I'm going to drink some water, I want some water, I think maybe because I work out every morning, so, I get a good 32 ounces there. Oh, there's another practice here if you want to jump start on your energy. there's another practice of, and in fact, it's on the Symphony box when you buy it, this of making salt first thing in the morning. I don't do it a lot because I think I was getting over energy. My feet started cramping a little bit. There's certain things, like I have so much minerals in I'm like so mineralized, properly mineralized, that I'm electrical. I'm a kind of just like something. But you take a teaspoon of brine in like 16 ounces of water first thing in the morning when you wake up and drink that. And that's now, because overnight is a dehydration event, right? So that's 8, 10 hours, whatever, without water, right? And people don't typically want to drink water right before they go to bed, right? So it's about 10 hours, that's dehydration. So you start your day like that, bam, that's better than coffee.
Beautiful. That's the only thing we need to do, probably.
Well, I mean, drink when you're,
What about adding salt?
Pardon me?
What about adding salt to your food?
Oh yeah. See, that's another thing. Where are you going to get your minerals? Like she's saying, the minerals are so important in our food, and it's not in the soil anymore.
Yeah.
So hell yeah, put salt on your food. Himalayan sea salt. And there's something that's boggling my mind these days. I have a couple things that just my brain will not rest until it figures it out. How in the hell are they getting iodine out? It blew me away. It was just a couple of years ago. Like all of the pink salt, the Himalayan salts, like at stores and stuff that have been ground up, it says no iodine in here. Symphony has it. So how in the hell are they getting the iodine? And you know why they took iodine out, right? They started deionizing salt when we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. That's when Morton started doing that, because what our thyroid, see, this plan has been going on a long time. Because when you deionize the salt, there's no iodine. So your thyroid, there's 2 foods for your thyroid. That's B5 and iodine, right? So your thyroid is your furnace, your metabolism clock, everything, right? How long you live. Your thyroid sets the pace for the show, okay? So your thyroid's going to absorb the radioactive iodine. Instead, when those receptors are hungry, right, they're going to absorb the radioactive iodine. And in fact, I've treated people, because I treat people flying in from all over the world to work with me. And even Calabasas here in California, people don't know, there was a radioactive event, I think in the late 70s. My treatment program, a lot of people, are sitting on a very expensive radioactive landfill. So the kids growing up and playing around in the dirt and everything there's a lot of thyroid cancer from that area. I look these
From
things
Calabas?
up. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Calabas?
look things up. Yeah.
Do you like the Lugol's iodine, or do you like the drops, or do you prefer like a spirit?
Lugol's is great, but you see, there's certain points where I start getting, because Lugol's was sold.
Or just the
Yeah,
drops.
and like all the good products, when they're sold by some
For sure.
blackout company,
Yeah.
I don't trust anymore, because they don't, they tried to suppress Lugol's, and because Lugol's was a good product, but I don't know if it's as good as it was now.
Say that versus the
I use the detoxamine
Or-
from Dr. Group's
Global healing.
Yeah, Global Healing. Yeah,
healing. Okay.
he's a damn good, really good chemist, health chemist.
Yeah, and he won't sell his company.
Yeah, no, he's a real deal. He's true blue. He's true blue. So anyway. Wait, no, so where we're at so far is no dairy, no grain, no sugar. I am going to teach you, don't let me leave here without telling you how to clean up real fast, and then stay on these things do what I'm doing, suggesting for your health, to maintain what you get after you clean up. Because the body heals itself progressively. You take care of the temple, you protect it. It literally, and Einstein said this, people don't realize Tesla and Einstein contributed a ton to medicine, biological medicine. And he said, back in the day, his days obviously, he said that cells don't know how to die. They are not programmed for death, and they're not. They're only programmed for two things. That's repair and replication. That's all they know. It's the environment that kills them. You are the custodian of the environment. You are your own doctor. I know it's a cliche saying, but it's true, okay? You are the caretaker. You are the janitor of your temple, okay? You got to clean it up. You got to clean it up. It's never been more important than today. You know, everybody speaks so lightly of this dumbing down and this and that. I honestly think, and by the way, I think this nanotech is the sign of the beast, okay? It really is, you know, because, you know, human beings being controlled by a nefarious entity, isn't that something that's biblical, right? And not just the current Bible, all of them. So you know, let's talk about that real quick. Okay, somebody had a hand up. Let me answer a question.
I just wanted to get a little more clarity on the water. Also, this is a very personal question because I just spent a bunch of money getting spring water. So is that useless? Like, should I have like?
I would filter it. Is there really a spring water that's clean anymore? No.
But can I avoid that with the salt? And then what do you do with the brine? You don't drink that straight, right? I don't know.
No, I'm going to send you what I give my patients at the clinic. The link. There's a formula for a 2 gallon. What I do, I have my Berkey. Then I have a 2-gallon dispenser glass. You don't want to use, especially when you have mineral water, you don't want to use those glazed clay things because it's going to eat it right up. You're going to be drinking that. But you got to think about these things, you know. So in a 2-gallon, you use about 4 or 5. I test it with the TDS. TDS meter costs you $20 online. So it's about 5 tablespoons of brine to 2 gallons of water. And by the way, it will taste a little salty at first because you've been drinking dead water and you are mineral deficient. Everybody in this room is, except me. So, and I guess apparently per Dr. Young, everybody has nanotech except me. I crush it.
Good girl.
Wait, how do you know you don't have nanotech?
Because I do like blood cell analysis, and believe me, I check myself on everything. Now my blood are happy little cells are floating around all by themselves. No rouleau because I drink the right water. No, you know, no bottle capping because I have healthy insulin insulation on my
You're
cells.
still breathing though.
Pardon me?
You still gotta breathe. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
not enough.
but I crush it. You see, the thing is that that's what I meant by your IP address. You know, when you are energy, when you're aligned with the divine design and thought, matter, you know, thought, emotion, and perspective is your master pharmacist, right? The mind, perspective, right? When you hold your IP address, you know, that's where I'm a profound spiritual. I truly believe that your original, your authentic IP address is unaffected by any of this, and it crushes it. I mean, it literally disintegrates it. You know, like Dr. Young, I don't know how many of you were here, and he was showing you the hexagon. That is the structure of the flower of life, okay? And you keep that close to source, you can produce with that product masterpiece yourself and crush these things that are coming in like that. And because I do believe in spiritual immunity, you know, I do. I mean, it's not that you don't have to believe in a specific God. It's energy, it's spirit, it's holding it's holding your IP code, you know.
It's true.
Yeah.
I have a girlfriend who hasn't taken one supplement, no vitamin C, no anything, all of her adult life, even from child, because she believes in that, and that's what she operates from, and she hasn't got.
Yeah. You know, when you think that you need a product, I mean, we need to comply and live in harmony with the planet and comply with our evolution with these spacesuits. You know, the spacesuit and the Earth have a relationship. And we need to be healthy. We need to comply with evolution. See, things have changed in our environment more in the last 200 years than they say like the last 100,000 years or something. It's crazy what's happened to our environment in just 200 years. Our bodies can't keep up. Our neuroendocrine systems are exhausted from trying to keep up if you're not taking care of yourself. But if you're trying to stay as close as you can, you know, and give your body's time and your family lineage time, you know, to adapt slower than people are just sucking down all the toxins and everything, then you're going to be healthy. We're expressions of light. We're just slower wavelengths of our spirit. Our spirit, as light comes down, the wavelengths get longer and longer, and you can see things. We're expressions of spirit, but when that spirit is blocked, then that's where the darkness happens. Call it darkness, whatever. I don't mean dark like the devil. I mean literally there's no light there, right? Because where there's no light, where's the energy to animate life? It's just really simple to me,
Parasites are.
It's just simple.
No, it's very great what you're saying.
My body crushes like I don't have parasites. I eat more sushi than probably fish do. And and I don't have any of this stuff, because it can't survive in my body. It can't survive in a high vibrational body. My body electrocutes everything.
I love it. You're like a fantastic ascended Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
I mean, anyway.
Frankenstein.
I mean an experiment. A new experiment. What about when you go to the water stalls and you get the distilled water that's been structured and then shungite? Is that something?
Pardon me?
In Sedona where I live, there's a water store. And
I just came out of Sedona, and you know what?
Can I finish? I want the question.
I know what you're talking about, but okay, what's the question?
Yeah, you can go and get distilled water. I think it is distilled that's been structured,
Mhm.
and it's got shungite. It's got the crystal shungite going through.
Yeah.
The structure. Is that fair enough water?
Yeah, I mean, if you know them, because everybody talks about that place in Sedona, and I just spent 2 months there, did a treatment cycle there actually recently. And everyone was talking about it. See, I've been doing this for 20 years and busting one company after another. I mean, busting them left and right. Mike Adams has been doing it with a spectromographer, and it's just, when you've busted so many people lying to you, I just don't trust humans anymore. But if you know them, I know, really, come on.
Welcome to
And
the
by the
club.
way, we're in this
Yeah.
mess because humans got involved.
Yeah.
People want to make money. They want to. People want convenience. There's a formula for this mess, how we got into this mess, and I try and avoid that formula. But if you know them and they're really doing what they're saying they're doing, then go for it, But if you guys really want, I'm still ingesting this one. If you really want, we all know that the best water ever is like coming off of a waterfall. That's restructured, energetically restructured, right? Like even our piping, our plumbing in houses, the water's not supposed to go in 90-degree angles like this, right? Water has a 104.5 degree, the molecule has a 104.5 degree, I'm getting too deep. But anyway, but see, when it's expanded and closed and this and that, water needs to have motion. It actually increases the hydrogen levels in it, okay? So restructuring, there's a Mayu product that I actually started using. A friend of mine got it for me, and because it does this and it's electromagnetic, I'm like, I'm going to do it because it's true. It emulates the movement. It makes the water move before I drink it. And by the way, I did test it. I'm a scientist, right? So I tested the pH and I tested the TDS, and the pH does go up from my salt, my reconstituted water. It does go, the pH goes up because the hydrogen is being released, right?
Yeah.
So that's even better. God, what we have to do to get back to the ancient times. Let me tell you real quick where I'm going with my science work, because I'm as far as, because you started to ask a question about diet and how do you do it, how do you get back. So I'm going to be at the clinic. We're going to start doing longer and longer retreats of just cleansing and in stages as far as the high technology, expensive stuff, and going into more spiritual. Because at the clinic we integrate biological medicine, the best of ozone, blood dialysis, all this stuff, with energy medicine. Now I have a 5th level shaman now that does I just got done working with her for a year, and I'm telling you, I'm a scientist. I've had all kinds of Reiki people come to me because I have a clinic, and I can give them a lot of business. And I don't try and make things, it's just I'm a scientist. And I do know like shamans, they don't have corporate jobs though. They're in South America and they don't speak English, and they've never been exposed to it's just, so anyway, distrust again. But I mean, I don't feel anything. If I don't feel anything, I'm not gonna give it to my patients. They're not gonna feel anything if I don't feel anything. So anyway, but then this woman, Cynthia, she gave me a light body activation. For 2 months, my body was pulsating, and I did have some injuries from being a mountain bicyclist for 50 years now.
Wow.
I had, just like tendonitis from lifting over rocks and this and that, and then one area in my hip, a little small injury that was bothering me, gone. And that's where everything was pulsating. I was like, this is like crazy, man. And my body was pulsating so much for 2 months, I kind of missed it when it went away. I'm like, But I know, and then I've had out-of-body experiences, and it's like, it's been amazing integrating the energy medicine with my biological medical model, because we are matter and energy, right? So what better medical model is there than to bring I make the soil rich for what she does. Her energy medicine, what she does by channeling this perfect, pure energy for people, is the energy is literally able to get into the bioenergetics of the cells when the cells aren't clogged up and they can work right. And it actually, with acupuncturists and with the acupuncturists I had working at the clinic, they told me that even back in the day, they told me that they were getting the best results that they've ever gotten from their from my patients. Because, with as an acupuncturist, you have to have chi, right? So there's no chi, there's not much for an acupuncturist to work with, right? So I'm raising the chi, and they're balancing and focusing it, So anyway, what was I going to say?
You're talking about your work. Where are you based?
Now, I was in Topanga for many, many years, Costa Rica, Mexico, and then Topanga is where actually I started and ended before I went home to Texas about a year before COVID, divine intervention. Countryside of Houston now. People fly in from all over. I actually had a guy come in from Africa. I was pretty stunned. I was going to talk about the perfect, so what we're going to be doing, I'm recreating ancient ways and ancient foods, the heirloom. And also, people eat too much. You know why no diets work? Because people eat, they go, oh, okay, this is the right way to do things, and then they still eat too much, right? Eat too much of dead food, okay? And even I do. And I can feel it, if I eat too much, I have a voracious appetite. I work out, I have a lot of energy. It's easy for me to condone, bless however much I want to eat, until I'm like, rolling around on the floor. And then I'm like, I know better than this, damn it. But there's my human side coming out again. And but I have this envy about, because I've done so much work, like meditation gives me anxiety. It's just like, I sit there, my brain doesn't stop, and I'll be sitting there I've been trying to meditate since I was 17. And, I'll be sitting there like, did you feed the dog? Oh, you don't have a dog, it's like this right, it just doesn't work for me,
I can't do it either.
Yeah, it's a form of torture for me. So I'm like, there's got to be a different way. So I'm modifying my $35,000 PMF machine. I'm to Tesla stuff. I can't probably say a lot of this on tape. But also, there's now that I'm working in the energy medicine thing. See, the ancients, they were writing, they were communicating all the time with the. And this is a safe place conference to talk about this. Thank God. I can't do it at all the science conferences, but this one's a cool one. So for instance, Stonehenge, all these ancient temples, right, where they used ritualistically as well as astronomically stuff. Well, we found, and I think I saw it first on one ancient aliens, and then I started looking it up, to find some white papers and stuff on it. It's true. From the Hindu ones to Stonehenge, the Druids, all these temples, the Buddhist temples, the Japanese ones, the temples, they're all tuned to 110, the pyramids, they're all tuned to 110 hertz, right? The 110.5, which is the Sophia. So the polarity, right? So what they were doing was they were drumming at a harmonic at about 5.5. The Native Americans do this too, by the way. They were drumming at about 5.5 and chanting at the same time. And then they say in about 20 minutes, you go into hemisync, it's called, your left and right brain actually cross over and you go into super consciousness. So, I'm going to be doing that, and then with the diet, because, can you imagine how many people, has anybody fasted here? Water fasted? Okay. You know what happens to your consciousness, right? Peace. You're in love with eyeballs. And, after about day 3 or 4, you're in love with eyeballs, right? And there's that peace. Can you imagine? See, this is where my envy comes in. Can you imagine the consciousness of people like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago on a clean planet, great water, peace, love, tiger chasing you once in a while, whatever. But can you imagine? See, that's why I think that people were interdimensional, consciously, interdimensional, very, like back and forth. That's why they were talking to gods all the time and downloading all these great scriptures and Bibles from all over the world, and the mystery schools. Really, the Bibles are kind of like when the ego came in, I think, and the religions when the egos came in and tried to, and were like kind of framing the mystery schools a bit, but there's a golden thread that weaves them all, and that's where I live. But anyway, so the heirloom foods, the bacterial profile, because the more bacterial, talk back and forth, feedback, right, the higher vibration it's going to be in your gut, which is going to make your consciousness a higher vibration. So I'm going after that. So what I'm going to be doing is buying the Hunza people. There's some, people in Africa. I'm going to be finding select places where where people are still eating wild, like not farming, and that's where you get your best bacterial profile. And for personal use, I found out, you get a, importation for personal is like $200 a year. So I'm going to try and find like 10 products that I can live on in the clinic and we can provide at the clinic. And as people go through, the first 7 days will be the biological biosource, we call it now, medical model. And then as the weeks go by, I want people drumming. I'm modifying my PMF machine, and I'm having someone build a pyramid out of granite and limestone, and put my PMF machine is the $35,000 one that recreates the torus field. Yeah. So we're going to put that inside the pyramid and I'm modifying it because I was a former engineer, actually number 3 at NBC here for broadcast operations and engineering. And I'm modifying it to go to 110. The FDA won't let anybody sell a PMF machine that goes above 60. 60 hertz. Tell me that they don't know what they're doing there. So I'm modifying it to go up, and believe me, I'm gonna because I'm my own favorite lab rat. Once I get it modified, which is going to be very soon, I'm going to slowly start, kind of get closer and closer to it, make sure I don't fry myself. But anyway, we're doing that. We're going to drum. I'm going to build some walls at 110. I got a Sputnik from the bio well, and so we're gonna tune some walls up so we can drum in the walls. So while people are working with Cynthia, we can test that one out. And so yeah, because my envy is that higher consciousness. And next year I'm already booked for next year here, and I think now that I kind of got a lay of the land and what I'm doing and whatnot, there are some people, it baffles me, there are some people that I would consider not too healthy, but physically healthy, and it baffles me, but they are like, spirit, they have the superpowers, the spirit, they have that, I'm like, how does that work? Because it's a channel, how can you connect consciousness? There's a difference between fasting on water for a week and a hangover, like the consciousness, that connection, there's a layer between you and that spiritual connection when you have a hangover. So my thing has always been aligned, live aligned with the divine design, take care of my temple, be a channel of light, be an unobstructed channel of light as a means to, be connected and somehow get out there. But, I don't know. For everybody, including me, I'm building these systems to try and recreate what people were doing back then, because I think some people are just gifted, and I'm not one of them, I guess. I mean, I'm very intuitive about energy. I see energy lines as a practitioner. I see energy lines. I can see when chi is leaving you. I can see, I can tell by how people walk things, but, and I pick up on things very, very well as a practitioner. But I just, for me and other people like me and people that are interested in that higher consciousness, I want to build out these systems for the clinic now that I'm doing the energy medicine thing, because we need to go back to the old ways. Look at what the new ways did. They screwed us up.